Okay, picture this scene for me. It is mid-January, maybe early February.
Ugh, the longest part of the year.
The absolute longest. The calendar says spring is coming, but the thermometer just laughs at you.
Yeah,
And the sky is that specific, relentless shade of gray, and the wind is just howling outside.
like it has a personal vendetta against your house.
Exactly. And inside, you are in full survival mode. You're wearing your favorite thick hoodie, you've got the wool socks pulled up as high as they'll go,
Mm-hmm.
and you're standing in the hallway, just staring at the thermostat.
The thermostat standoff, we've all been there.
You're nudging it up just one more degree, right? Praying your heating bill doesn't explode.
But you just can't take the chill anymore.
Right. But then something happens. You walk past a window. Maybe you're just going to the kitchen for, I don't know, your third cup of tea.
Sure.
And you pass by the glass and you just stop dead. You feel it. That distinct, localized chill.
And that's the moment the panic sets in.
Yes, you hover your hand near the frame like some kind of makeshift scientific instrument.
Right.
And the questions just start firing. Is my window broken? Is the seal gone? Is my house literally whistling back at the wind?
You immediately think you're just hemorrhaging money, just throwing it right out into the yard.
So today, we are going to get to the bottom of that exact sensation. We're doing a deep dive into a really fascinating piece from Kassin and Keller. It was published just recently on February 12th, 2026.
And the title is great. Is your house whistling back at the wind?
I love it.
And I love this piece because it tackles two things that feel identical to a homeowner, but are actually, totally different.
The phantom draft versus the real deal.
Exactly. The phantom draft and the real structural failure.
So our mission today is to turn you, our listener, into a window detective.
I like that.
By the end of this, you're going to know whether your house is just, suffering from a basic law of physics, or if you're fighting a losing battle against the wind because of the actual windows you have.
And this is so key. If you live on a hill or near an open field or just in a place where the wind really, really whips, this is going to be eye-opening.
Because it's not just about the glass.
No. It turns out the way your window opens and closes matters just as much.
Okay, so let's unpack that first big mystery, the phantom draft. This, I have to say, this kind of blew my mind.
It's counterintuitive.
Totally. The source talks about how you can have a brand new, high-tech, energy-efficient window. I'm talking triple pane, argon gas,
All the bells and whistles.
and you can still stand in front of it in February and swear on your life that there is a breeze coming through.
Oh, yeah. It's a super common complaint. Window manufacturers get calls about this constantly.
And the homeowner isn't wrong, are they? They're feeling something.
They are feeling something real, absolutely. They're just usually wrong about the cause. It's
Correct.
not outside air leaking in. It's this phenomenon called cold convection.
Cold convection. It sounds like a bad sci-fi movie title.
It does.
So break it down for us. What is actually happening in the room?
It's just thermodynamics. So think about the glass in your window, even if it's super insulated, double paned, whatever.
Right.
In the middle of a brutal winter, that glass is always going to be the coldest surface in the room. I mean, it's the only thing between you and freezing.
Sure, that makes sense.
Yeah.
The walls have insulation. The window is just glass.
Exactly. So inside your room, you have all this nice, warm, heated air. You cranked the thermostat to 70,
Mm-hmm.
and warm air is buoyant. It wants to rise, right? It floats up. But as that air circulates around the room, it eventually brushes up against that cold vertical surface of the window.
And when warm air hits a cold surface.
It instantly loses its heat, its thermal energy. It cools down, and it cools down fast.
When cold air is heavier,
It's denser. It gets heavy.
so it just sinks.
It plummets. It drops right down the face of the glass toward the floor. It kind of pools on the windowsill and then just rolls off onto your feet. So if you're standing there, you feel this movement of air washing over your skin. It's chilly. It moves like a breeze. Your brain just registers draft.
But no outside air is actually coming into the house.
Not a single molecule. It's just your own inside air doing a loop-the-loop.
That's wild. It's like a waterfall of invisible cold air.
That's a perfect analogy. It's a convection current.
So in this scenario, the window is actually, it's doing its job.
It's doing its job perfectly. It's sealed tight. But, physics is winning. The source puts it really well. They say, sometimes your window is doing its job, and winter is just being winter.
I love that. That's actually strangely reassuring.
It is.
But, and here's where it gets really interesting, the source pivots. Because sometimes You are not imagining it.
Right.
Sometimes the draft is very, very real. And this is where we have to talk about location, location, location.
Yeah. If you live in a dense suburb, with trees and other houses blocking the wind, convection might be your only problem.
But the source highlights a very specific type of home.
Homes on hills, raised lots, homes facing open fields or, a big lake,
The hill factor.
the hill factor. And these homes, they play by a completely different set of rules.
I actually grew up in a house on a bit of a rise,
Hmm?
and it faced a big valley. And I remember the wind didn't just blow past us.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like it was leaning against the house.
That is a great way to describe it because that's literally what's happening.
Really?
Yeah, it's called wind pressure or wind load. It's not just a breeze, it is a physical force. The source explains that a steady wind is just constantly testing the seals, the frames, the joints.
Like a burglar checking all the locks on the block.
That's a good way to put it, yeah. It's pushing and probing, looking for any weak point. And over time, that pressure can compromise a standard window.
And by standard, you mean the kind most of us have, the ones that slide up and down.
The double hung window, exactly. It's the most common type. And it relies on, weather stripping that just rubs against a track.
Right, that fuzzy stuff on the sides.
Yeah, or rubber strips. But think about the mechanics of it. For that window to be able to slide up and down,
Uh-huh.
there has to be a tiny bit of clearance, a little bit of wiggle room. If it was a perfectly tight seal, the friction would be so high you wouldn't be able to open it.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It needs that room to move.
Correct. But that little bit of room, that's a vulnerability.
Ah,
Under that heavy, sustained wind pressure you get on a hill, the wind physically pushes the sash inward. It compresses that weather stripping. And if the wind blows hard enough, it can actually create a tiny gap.
so the wind is literally forcing the window open, just a crack.
Microscopically, yes. It's forcing air past that barrier. That's called infiltration. And unlike convection, this is cold outside air coming in and warm money going out.
Okay, so if I'm listening to this and I live on a hill where I'm looking out at a cornfield where the wind just gets a running start,
Right.
my standard sliding windows might be struggling.
They might be. And it's not that they're bad windows, it's just that the design itself has limitations against that kind of direct wind load.
And this is where we get to the core insight of this piece.
This is it. The source suggests that for these specific windy homes, the answer isn't just better glass. It's a completely different mechanism.
We need to talk about casement windows.
We do.
Okay, so for anyone who might not know the term, let's define that. What's a casement window?
Sure. A casement is the kind that's hinged on the side. It doesn't slide up or down. It has a crank, usually at the bottom, and the whole window sash just swings outward.
Like a little door.
Exactly like a door.
Got it. The crank out kind. Now, I think a lot of people know them, but I don't think they realize why they're so much better for wind. I mean, intuitively, wouldn't a window that sticks out into the wind be worse?
You would think so, right? It seems more fragile. But the magic isn't when it's open, it's what happens when you close it.
Okay, walk us through the mechanics. Why does this design win?
It all comes down to the seal. When you crank a casement window closed, the mechanism isn't just sliding it into place.
Right.
It uses these locking points all around the frame to physically pull the sash. That's the part with the glass,
Right.
to pull it tightly into the frame.
So it's pulling it in, not just sliding it shut.
Yes. And it creates what's called a compression seal. Think about your refrigerator door.
Okay.
It presses against that rubber gasket to create a perfect seal. It doesn't slide across the front. That pressing action is just way more airtight than a sliding action.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
You never see a sliding door in a freezer.
Exactly. A compression seal is the gold standard for airtightness. But here's the part from the source that really made me go, aha.
Okay.
This idea of a wind assist. It's so cool.
Yeah, wind assist, it sounds like a sports term, but it's one of those counterintuitive physics things that
Yeah.
it's delightful.
It is.
So imagine the wind is blowing hard against the side of your house. With a sliding window, the wind is pushing the sash, it's fighting the seal, trying to get through.
It's working against the house.
Right. But with a casement window, remember, the sash closes inward against the frame.
Right, from the outside in.
So when the wind blows against the glass, it is physically pushing the window sash harder against its own weather stripping.
Wait, hold on. So you're saying the wind,
Yeah,
the actual problem, is helping to solve the problem.
precisely. The harder the wind blows, the tighter the seal becomes. It reinforces the closure. The source says this results in way lower air infiltration.
That is brilliant. It's like judo for your house. You're using the opponent's strength against them.
It really is. And for a home on a hill, That difference can change the entire feel of a room in January. It just stops that feeling of the storm kind of pressurizing the room.
So, purely from a performance standpoint, casements seem like the clear winner for windy spots. But
Yeah, but there's always a but,
Right.
right? And I think I know what it is. The look.
the aesthetics, exactly.
People are worried, will this look right on my classic colonial? Or does it look too modern?
It's a valid fear. I mean, windows are the eyes of the house. You don't want to mess that up.
But the source is really reassuring on this point. It basically says it's not 1970 anymore.
Right. The technology and the design options have really caught up. They totally debunk this myth that casements have to break the architectural character.
How do you get around that? Customization.
All about customization. You can get casements now with what they call simulated divided lights.
Okay, that sounds fancy. What does that mean in plain English?
It just means they apply a grid pattern to the glass that perfectly mimics the look of individual small panes of glass.
So it's not that flat grid stuck between the glass and...
No. They put a sculpted grid on the outside, a spacer bar inside the glass unit, and another grid on the interior. It has depth. It creates real shadow lines.
So from the street, you can't tell the difference.
You really can't. And it's not just the grids. You can customize the casing profiles, the hardware finishes, the exterior colors. The source specifically lists styles like colonials, capes, and farmhouses, where modern casements can look completely at home.
So you can get the traditional look of a farmhouse, but the wind-sealing performance of a submarine.
That's the goal. Don't sacrifice character for comfort.
That's a great point. It's a stealth upgrade. Now, we've talked a lot about winter, but there was a little nugget in the source about summer that I thought was a really nice bonus.
The ventilation benefit.
Because
Interesting.
thank goodness we don't live in winter forever.
Sometimes it feels like it.
It does. But talk about the summer benefit, because it's not just that the whole window opens.
Right. You get 100% of the opening versus 50% with the slider, which is already a win, but it's also the aerodynamics.
Okay.
Think about that sash swinging out. If you have a gentle breeze blowing parallel to your house, so it's just kind of sliding by.
A sliding window wouldn't catch that. It would just slip past.
Exactly. But a casement window acts like a sail or a scoop. It physically reaches out into that passing breeze and redirects that fresh air right into your home.
Oh, that's clever. It actually funnels the air inside.
The source says they can catch breezes, which I think is a lovely way to put it. So in July, when you just want to flush out the hot air, it's actually a superior ventilator, too.
So it seals tighter in winter, and it scoops more air in summer.
It's starting to sound like the Swiss Army knife of windows.
For the right house, yeah.
And that's the key, right? The right house.
Yeah.
We're not saying everyone needs to go rip out their windows tomorrow.
No, let's run through that checklist. The source gives a kind of, is this for you, rundown.
Okay, so here's the summary. First, the obvious one. Topography. Does your home sit on a hill, a ridge, an elevated lot? That's number one.
Check. If you got a view, you've got wind.
Second, orientation. Does the wind seem to just hammer one specific side of your house?
Oh, that's a good point. You might not need to do the whole house.
Not at all. Maybe it's just that north-facing wall that gets pummeled. You could do a targeted upgrade.
Smart. What's third?
The comfort test. Are certain rooms just consistently colder? Do you have that one bedroom that's always the freezer? If it has a window facing an open yard, that's a prime candidate.
And finally, that summer ventilation bonus we just talked about.
Exactly. If you're checking those boxes, the source argues that casements are worth a very serious look.
I loved a line in the source about the philosophy behind this. It said, it's not about over-engineering. It's about matching the window to how your home actually lives in the world.
I highlighted that too. It's such a grounding perspective. We think of our houses as these static boxes, but they're not. They exist in an environment. A house in a protected valley lives a totally different life than a house on an exposed ridge.
And a house on a ridge is basically in a constant argument with the wind.
A constant argument. And you want the house to win without you having to wear 3 sweaters inside.
So let's bring it all back to where we started. You're standing there in your hoodie. You're cold. You're looking at the window.
Mm-hmm.
We've learned 2 really big things today. First, not all drafts are leaks.
Cold convection is a real thing. If the air feels cold but there's no whistle, the candle isn't flickering, it might just be physics. That's normal.
That's the phantom draft. The solution might just be some heavier curtains.
It might. But second, if you do live in a high wind area, the mechanics of your window matter more than you think. A compression seal, that door-like closing action of a casement, is just better equipped to handle that pressure,
It uses the wind to tighten itself.
which is just so cool. It turns the problem into part of the solution.
It really is. So here's our challenge to you, the listener. The next time the wind picks up, which, let's be honest, in February could be right now,
Probably.
take a walk around your house. Be that window detective.
Observe. Don't just shiver. Notice where the cold is. Is it dropping down the glass in a sheet?
That's convection.
Or is it whistling through the frame?
That's infiltration.
Look at your location. Does your house take the brunt of the wind on your block? If it feels like your home is arguing with the wind, maybe it's time to change the terms of that debate.
Because, as the source so beautifully puts it, when your home stops arguing with the wind, winter just feels better.
And who doesn't want winter to feel a little bit better?
That is going to do it for this deep dive. We hope you are staying warm, staying curious, and maybe looking at your windows a little differently now.
Thanks so much for listening.
We'll catch you on the next deep dive.